グランツーリスモワールドシリーズっていうのは一個の巨大な船みたいなもので、その巨大な船が本当に世界のあちこちに出かけていくっていう、そういうイメージなんですよね。でその船の乗組員っていうのは選手や僕たちやコメンタリーはみんななんですよ。でそれぞれの港に着いて、そこでまたお客さんがやってきてっていうことをこの8年間ずっと繰り返してきて。
To describe the drivers this season is kind of difficult because this is the closest year we've had by far. We've always had in the past in Nations Cup a couple of outliers who maybe aren't quite as competitive. Here, anyone could win any race. So it's definitely the closest series we've had, I think, of any year.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's always a friendly rivalry that goes on between the drivers in the Nations Cup, but you get the sense that as you come to the end of the season, you can take away the first part of that and it just becomes a rivalry. It's like a pot that sort of starts bubbling and you can feel it's going to start to boil over because there's that extra pressure on it being the final event of the year.
我々レースの戦略を作っているというところちょっと一つ秘密があって、リアルのレースだとこういうレースのデザインってできないんですよね。どこでピットに入るだろうかとか、どういう天候変化ができるだろうかというところが。でも我々の場合はそこが天候変化だったりとか、タイヤの摩耗だったりとか、スリップストリームの強さもデザインできるので、これで毎回ドラマチックなレースができるっていうのは、これはリアルと違うところで、これ我々の強みだと思っています。
走ってる姿を見ていると落ち着きがあるように見えても、やはりドライバーの中だと細かいミスが重なって100分の何秒単位でそのタイム差が生まれるっていうのがドライバーでしか分からない部分になるかなと。
Team Subaru and for Takuma Miyazono who win the grand final.
選手にしか見えない部分はたくさんあると思っていて、実際お客さんから見るとそのレースをしている部分しか見えないと思うんですけど、正直すごいいろいろプレッシャーやストレスもありますし、僕の場合だとお腹壊したりちょっと熱が出たりいろいろしんどいような状態ではあるんですけど、レース直前になると、そういう部分はあるんですけど、やっぱりでもそれを乗り越えていい結果を残したいし、みんなに喜んでほしいというのもあるので、そういうところはあまり見せないようにして、ちょっと僕の活躍している姿をみんなに見せれたらなと思ってます。はい。
Bueno, los rivales de la Copa de Naciones este año es el más alto que he visto en mi vida. Cada año sube más el nivel, lo digo siempre todos los años, pero cada año sube un poquito más. Y la verdad que es cada vez más difícil estar ahí arriba.
Jose Serrano pulls a blinder and wins the grand final of the Nations Cup here in London.
To prepare yourself mentally is really difficult to be at your maximum between the games online season and also on the World Finals. So yeah, for me it's the most difficult because you need to be consistent every time on games, so you need to prepare yourself every day. It's difficult to explain that for the spectators, but the drivers, you tell that, or the drivers, everyone will understand that.
Kylian Drumont takes victory for Subaru here in Berlin.
I feel like my most challenging aspect, I would say, is my mind. It's always the mind. I think it's always where everything comes from, and let's say also what your heart says, because in the end you try to listen to your heart instinctively and you want to be fast. That's what the first thing you say. But then it comes to the mind and says, you gotta control yourself, and sometimes you have to, let's say, listen to both things but try to have a match.
Jose Serrano makes it 2 wins from 2 races in the Nations Cup.
What audience don't see and drivers do is basically in racing in general, you have to stay focused, you have to apply so many techniques people that watches racing in general may think that it is kind of easy, but when you really do it, it is not. You have to race people going side by side. You have to know when to brake. You have to know what line take, and that's hard to knowledge, and that's the fun part of it.
Inestrosa versus Carranza, Porsche versus Toyota the victory, and Inestrosa wins the grand final here in Los Angeles.
So in terms of pressure before starting a race, I think the points, they are what they are. I would not feel more nervous just because I know I have to get more points. I don't think it's the main factor. I'd say like you always want to perform well, so you'd feel more nervous just because you want to do well than rather focusing only on getting that specific points to get that to a specific position. So I think you always try to do your best.
Paul Ura, he comes across the timing line to take a commanding victory.
今年のドライバーの戦略の設定で驚いたのは、我々は事前にこういう戦略で来るだろうという予想の図とかを作ってるんですけれども、例えばソフトが3周しか持たないっていう風な予想をしていてでも彼らはもっと伸ばしてきたりとか、ワンピットは絶対あると思ったけど全然ピットしないでレースを終わらせてやったりとか、我々の想像を超えてくる走りをしてくるってところにとても驚いています。
We go racing for one final time in 2025. Porsche will lead the field across the line, followed by Honda, followed by Subaru, as the grand final for the Manufacturers' Cup is underway. They go side by side with one another. We come through in towards the third sector, into the braking zone. Around the outside goes Spinelli. Coulter there with Mazda. Porsche become the Manufacturers' Cup champions of 2025.
チームの力はどこよりも強かったと思うので、優勝できたことをとてもほっと思ってます。
We go racing as the grand final for the Nations Cup is underway. Jose Serrano leads them across the line with Miyazono Gallo and Paul Ura for company.
Will Gallo try and hold the position? He does. He's not going to get him for free. And they go side by side, breaking down there. But there's the soft compound tyre. Oh, Wise goes through one.
Here is Jose Serrano, wants to give Miyazono down into the chicane. He's got the inside line, and now he takes the race lead. Jose Serrano wins the grand final and becomes the Nations Cup champion of the world in 2025.
Bueno, la verdad que la temporada ha sido increíble, casi perfecta. Estoy muy contento sobre todo por mi rendimiento. Creo que ha sido el mejor año que mejor he rendido, así que muy contento de ser campeón del mundo.
その船を守るための覚悟というか、その船をきちんと運航するための努力とか義務みたいなものをね、選手たちからも感じますね。だからなんかね、みんなでこの巨大な船のクルーとしてこの船が世界のあちこちに安全に迎えるように、なんかみんなでね努力している、頑張っているって感じがしますね。